You know how it is, man. We always gotta go out there and plug the content. I'm pretty sure y'all are familiar with this, right? It's my full-time job to do these YouTube videos and to get your eyes on our conversations. Does that even make sense? Eyes on the conversations? No, not really. But anyways, today we are responding to a video we made yesterday. This one, right here, where we went over Patrik Laine's comments about the Columbus Blue Jackets, where he threw some massive shade at the organization. He essentially said that the Blue Jackets is filled with a bunch of losers, and that their, let's just say, tolerance to losing and their continuous forward thinking, oh, we suck in December, okay, that's fine, let's just wait until next year and we'll be good then. Their overall perspective and attitude towards the team was seen as a very big negative in Patrik Laine's subjective opinion. Even funnier is the fact that he made these comments right before the Blue Jackets played off against the Habs, and it was a game where Laine only played 6 minutes time on ice, he was getting hit like crazy, and he ended up leaving the game with an injury. The Blue Jackets were kind of targeting this guy. When it comes to Dante Fabro, Voronkov, Fantilli, a bunch of guys going out there getting their hits in with Patty Laine. And the thing is, this second video that we made, it only spoke about the game itself. It was kind of a game review, not really, pseudo-quasi-game review, because we didn't really speak much about the goals. We didn't even speak about the result. Guess what? Columbus won. But we spoke mostly about the Patrik Laine angle because it was such a crazy story that we could not avoid. So, this video is going to be the third in a series of 3, because first we spoke about Laine's comments, secondly we responded to what Columbus did in the game against Laine, and now we are talking about the way the Blue Jackets have responded. Maybe even not the Blue Jackets themselves, quote-unquote, but at the very least one person in the organization. It's Zach Werenski, because this tweet by Mark Sheig goes out there and gives us the scoop. Zach Werenski and the rest of the Blue Jackets were pissed. Now, I like this tweet, because this tweet is the only one that I found that has the entire selection of comments made by Werenski after the game, speaking about Patrik Laine. There are a bunch of other tweets that go out there and talk about these same things, but they're not as lengthy as this. It's not really the most comprehensive thing, but I will give it props for being as thorough as it can be. They just kind of took all the words that Werenski said in the media interview answer and just put it onto a notepad. Here are the full comments from Zach Werenski on Patrik Laine. It's unfortunate. I think as guys here and the guys that have been here, we're nothing but good teammates to him, nothing but good friends to him, and for him to bash us like that, I think it's just unacceptable. I hope he's alright with whatever he's dealing with tonight, but he didn't finish the game. A couple of hits and I don't know what happened, but it's unfortunate. We were nothing but good teammates to him. So for him to come in here and say that, that's BS. So definitely not happy about it, and none of us in this room are happy about it, and I think that speaks more about him than it does us. So that is what it is. What's he thinking even saying that? It's just incredible. So I got no more time for that. I don't want to talk about Patty anymore. I hope he's alright, but I don't know. I just thought that was pretty ridiculous, to be honest. And this is very, very emotional, I will say. But is it a warranted emotion? Sure. Definitely, it's fair to say that Werenski has the right to be maybe even offended by what Patrik Laine said about his team and, by proxy, him. Of course, I'm not going to say that Laine was calling out Zach Werenski in particular when he made the comment saying that the Blue Jackets are essentially losers, but Werenski is one of the leadership folks on this team. He's been wearing the A for 3 seasons now. This is his 4th season with that A on his sweater. He is on pace for a point-per-game year, which is ridiculous. Zach Werenski has been one of the better defensemen in the NHL this season. He has really come into his own. But when you talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, when you talk about guys that have been here for years, Zach Werenski pretty much embodies that right here. He's been through all the good times, he's been through some of the bad times afterwards, and when it comes to the way Laine spoke about him, obviously, Werenski's not going to like it. And he even says, like, hey, it's BS. We were good teammates to him. We're friends with him. But for him to say that, that's ridiculous. That's so not called for. I got no time for that. I don't want to talk about Patrik Laine anymore. And the thing is, I wanted to dive into some of the other replies that go out there and respond to this too. Because even though it is a very blunt and very combative response, I really do think you have to acknowledge some of the other points that were also brought up in these replies. GM Don Waddell literally came out and said that losing was acceptable in Columbus. Now that Laine says it, his former teammates have their... Yeah, I'm not going to say that. The truth hurts. No wonder most players want out of CBJ. I don't blame him. Panarin, Bobrovsky, Atkinson, Bjorkstrand doesn't look like many stars want to play in Columbus. How soon before he turns on Montreal as well? This just backs up why his teammates told Jarmo to move him, and Elvis 3 to 4 years ago, they knew he was a less than ideal teammate. And so, Don Waddell went out there and said the same thing pretty much that Patrik Laine said. Obviously, people are getting a little bit more pissed off about the Laine stuff because former player, etc. It's easier to boo the guy. It's more accessible to express your discomfort and upset emotions towards him. But I also wanted to head over onto the Columbus Blue Jackets subreddit, because this is where we'll get some other commentary about the situation with this team and whether or not Patrik Laine actually was correct. Correct? I don't know about that, but still, this is the thread that I wanted to bring up here on the Blue Jackets sub. Let's go out there and take a look at this. Patrik Laine says that the Blue Jackets were too comfortable losing. True. That being said, I never once felt like Laine had any sort of elite mentality, and if you asked me which player often looked like they were between checked in and checked out, it would be him. Usually you can count on your nearly $8 million a year player to be a leader with elite mentality. In the end, I blame most of this on Jarmo Kekalainen. After Tortorella left, it was clear Torts was carrying Jarmo. He had an ego and thought he could replace a top coach with hand-picked guys from the inside who had no head coaching experience at the top level. I wish the best for Laine, but I'm willing to wager that in 2 years, we are doing better than the Canadiens. I gotta agree, I know players are all different and obviously act differently on the ice, but he sure looked like he didn't care what was going on a lot of the time. Seemed like he was comfortable losing. Another reply says, I always figured that was just his Finnish effect, and maybe looking back there were mental health struggles showing through, but he is also the same guy who after 22-23 season, I believe, said, I don't even want to think about hockey anymore in his exit interview. Like you said, he never had an elite mentality. And to clarify, I'm not saying him needing to enter the Players Assistance Program is what disqualifies him as such, but more that he never appeared to be a leader on and off the ice with his words and his actions. Well, the Canadiens are worse than the Blue Jackets. Paraphrasing, but in the article he basically said that while the results aren't there, the effort is, which isn't what he saw in Columbus. He saw low effort and no results. I think last year we saw that especially. I mean, isn't this season a breath of fresh air compared to last? The results aren't there, but by and large, the effort to compete level is night and day. Another reply goes out there and says, yeah and no, but at some point you gotta be part of the solution, and he chose not to be there, and so I think that says more about him than anything. Fair criticism, I won't crap on him for that. I do think it's a bit lame to say, I'll leave it to your imagination and press for more after this. Makes it seem a bit more like sour grapes to me. And so, there are a bunch of replies. Some are more level-headed than others. This one says, screw this dude. He gave up on the team miles before they returned the favor. But I also, before we ended off this video, wanted to talk about the Blue Jackets' response to Werenski, because this was also posted onto the R Columbus Blue Jackets subreddit. And you've got a lot of people rallying behind Zach. I'm glad he had the stones to come out and address this. He is a great player and an ambassador for this franchise. Zach needs to be a Blue Jacket forever. He's the ultimate professional. Never was much a fan of that guy Patrik Laine. Seemed like someone who plays hockey for himself instead of the team. That's not what makes hockey great. I'd rather have a kid that plays his heart out every night and scores half the goals than someone like Laine scoring more goals but making it about himself. We traded Bjorkstrand for this guy to sign a contract. Laine tried to compete with Jeff Carter and Herb Streit for the biggest a-hole to spend time in Columbus. Okay, I'm not going to go out there and say that. Just kind of replying to some of the extra thoughts here. Screw Laine, yada yada yada. I'd include PLD there. Carter, Laine, Dubois, Foot, the CBJ Hall of Shame. That is hilarious. I didn't even realize that. Carter, Laine, Dubois, and Foot. Ay, ay, ay. So, long story short, you can see it all here. The Blue Jackets responded They're not happy. They didn't like what Patrik Laine had to say. Of course they're not. Why would they be? And I wanted to go over and talk about some of the extra responses to this from Blue Jackets fans as well. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the commentary about Patrik Laine and the Columbus Blue Jackets. What are your thoughts on Zach Werenski and his response? The comment section is your floor. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.